today we're going to look at 3 different ways to multiply a 2-digit number times a 2-digit number. And we've talked about all 3 ways in class. My expectation for the kids is that they know at least 2 of the 3 so that they're comfortable getting an answer and then being able to check their answers. So the first way is what's called partial product. And when we're doing partial product multiplication, let's say we have this number. We'll just use this for all 3 examples. I'll go ahead and try to do all 3 on one screen so you can kind of see the comparison of the 3. And so for partial product, I'll put a little PP up there. And let's say our numbers that we're multiplying are just like 56 times 34. We'll go with that. And partial product, I start by drawing a rectangle. I know that in the book, initially we learned the rectangle, then they tried to teach them if you stack the two by two numbers on top of each other and then just multiply kind of by place value, you get those partial products. But to me, that's more confusing because when we do what I call the big boy, big girl way of multiplying, which is kind of the way parents learn to multiply and I learned to multiply, I think it can get kind of confusing. So we go ahead and stick with the rectangle. And we draw the rectangle and divide it into fourths so that each place value has a rectangle. So this is, and I break it down by place value. This is like 50 plus 6, and this would be like 30 plus 4. So I'm breaking, if I had hundreds, I'd have another column, and I'd have a hundreds place. I'm just breaking it down by place value. And then I just multiply down and across. So I would multiply like 50 times 30. And we just do kind of a basic fact. We do 5 times 3 is 15. And then there are 2 zeros, so we add 2 zeros. And then I go to the right, I do 6 times 30, so I do 6 times 3, that is 18, there's 1 0. Then I drop down to the next row. I do 4 times 5 is 20, and then there's 1 0. And 4 times 6 is 24. So I've got my products, my partial products right there. Then I come over to the side and I'm just going to add them, and it's really not important what order I write them in. If you have a particular order you prefer, then that's fine, but I just kind of randomly put them down. And then I add 8 plus 2 is 10, carry the 1, 6, 7, 9, 1. And I do make mistakes time to time too, which is one of the advantages of doing it 3 different ways or 2 different ways, so you can catch those mistakes. So that's partial product. Another way, which is the most confusing way I think to parents, because when we were in school, we never learned it this way, and that's called the lattice method. And so we start by drawing a rectangle again, and since it's 2 by 2, and the lattice method would work as long as you're doing like 2 by 2, 3 by 3, that type of multiplication. You can even do single digit if you use a 0 in the tens place. But I like to use it just for 2 by 2. And so once again, we start the same way. We're going to divide this into fourths. And instead now of writing like the value of each digit place value wise, like we would if we were doing a kind of expanded form, we're just going to write the digits. So there's a 5 in the tens, there's a 6 there, there's a 3 and a 4. And then we're going to draw these diagonal lines from the bottom left up to the top. And the one in the middle, of course, is really long. And I like to extend it down below a little bit. It just makes it easier to get our totals. And it's going to look really strange, but I'm going to show you something that makes it look maybe a little less strange. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply down and across where kind of the numbers meet, and we'll put the tens place on top of that diagonal line, the ones place below the diagonal line. So 5 times 3 is 15. I'm going to put a 1 and a 5. 6 times 3 is 18. I'm going to put a 1 and an 8. 6 times 4 is 24, and 4 times 5 is 20. If I got an answer that was, say I was multiplying a 2 times a 3 and I got 6, I would still have to account for that tens place, so I'd have to put 0, 6. is what I would have to put. And now that just looks like gobbledygook. I know, and it's like you look at that and you say, how on earth can I get an answer? Well, notice one thing. If you compare the two, the lattice and partial product, for the lattice we've got 15, 1, 5, and if you go over to that same square, that same cell over here on partial product, we've got 15 and then 2 zeros. We've got 18 right here for the lattice, and if you go over here to partial product, you've got 180. So we've got those same digits, we just don't have the zero. So that's another way when you're kind of trying to check your answer. Another way you can kind of check your answer is that you should have those same digits in each of the cells between the partial product and lattice. It's a way of finding mistakes if you're getting a situation where your answers are not the same. And then anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add down these diagonals is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with the 4, and I'm going to just go straight down, and there's just a 4 right there. And then I'm going to add the 8 plus the 2 plus the 0, and that's 10. So I put the 0 down, carry the group of 10, just like I do when I add normally up to that next diagonal. So that becomes 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7, plus 2 is 9, and then that 1 is all by itself again. And so if I look at my answer, 1, 9, 0, 4, and it matches my other answer. So I'm going to assume that's probably the answer right there. But let's do it the way that we as parents learned it, and really the way they need to multiply when they get to intermediate school. They're not going to recognize the lattice or partial product method. They're going to expect that the kids can do it what I call the big boy, big girl way. And so we'll just set up our 56 and our 34. And the order is not important. Doesn't matter which one I put on top. And then what I told the kids to do, especially while they're learning it, if they're kind of confused, is just go ahead and take this tens place away at the bottom. Get rid of that 3. Pretend it's not there. It's just single-digit multiplication. So we have 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the group of 10, the 2. And then 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 2 is 22. So our first row should be 2, 2, 4. And then I told them go ahead and, you would erase the digit at the top that you carried. You would erase the 4, if you wanted to be consistent in the ones place, and put the 3 back there that we moved. And then since we're moving over to the tens place to multiply, we're moving like this over. We're going to go ahead and put a 0 down here, so we move our answer in the second row over. That's what we're doing. Let's get rid of that arrow. And then we're going to multiply another single-digit number is all it is. So it's really just 2 single-digit times 2-digit multiplication problems. The tricky part is on that second row. I just need to move my answer over, so I need to put a 0 there. 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. And 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. And so there's my second row. I draw a line, and let's hope it all works out. And then I add them. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 8 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 6 is 9. And then 1. And what do you know? They all work out. So if I get the same answer for all 3, I'm going to feel pretty confident that I've got the right answer. Those are just 3 ways we have learned to multiply. Like I said, if the kids can do 2 ways so that they are confident in their answers and they're getting the same answer, I think that would be great.